What is up, guys? Rick, classic intro Kackis here. Wait, that made it not classic. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be discussing armor I would highly recommend getting before the start of the next season. Now, why is that? Well, there are two absolutely massive changes coming to the Armor 2.0 system starting next season. And so what armor you have, and specifically what season it's from, is going to be extremely important. And therefore, I think you guys would agree with me, it's much better to shore up on that and get those armor pieces now, so you're not spending time grinding old activities when the new content arrives next season. And so, let's get started. But just before we do, I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. I love Advanced GG, the best gaming supplement, as you know, but my boy MTash got his own flavor, MTash Mango Splash, and it's delicious. Now, if you buy that and use my code KHD, you're supporting both our channels. That's a win-win-win. That's almost impossible, so if you want to do that, check the link in the description down below. Now, let's talk about the armor that you should be grinding, and to do so, we need to talk about the changes that are coming. So, the two main changes coming to the Armor 2.0 system are as follows. Firstly, you are now going to be able to change the element of your armor piece by going into the inspection screen of that armor piece and then just simply clicking on the energy symbol, and it's going to cost one upgrade module if you haven't done anything to it. If you've masterworked it, it's going to cost those same resources to change it, I think, in its masterwork state to another element of armor. So that actually means when you're done grinding the armor I'm going to recommend in this video, don't masterwork it. It's probably better to wait until next season, see what the new seasonal mods are, and if the solar mods are absolutely bumping, then you can change your armor to solar and then upgrade it to save on resources. So that's going to make things a heck of a lot easier and open up a ton of build possibilities. However, the second change, and the one that we're kind of focusing on today, involves the seasonal mod slot. So right now, you have to get a specific armor piece from a specific season to use the mods from only that season. But starting with next season, all seasonal armor mods will be capable to equip mods of that season where they're from, and one before and one after. Now, this, when it was said in the weekly update, a lot of people, including myself, read it as, oh, you're going to be able to equip mods from any season, but no, community manager Cosmo did clarify on Reddit that it is one season prior and one season after, and then the current season the armor is from. So every armor piece, essentially, their seasonal mod slot is going to have mods from 3 possible seasons they can equip, and that means what season your armor is from is gonna matter like crazy. And if you have the wrong season that's touching some mods that you don't really care about, or some seasons don't even have mods that are worthwhile, that's a huge problem. So knowing what seasonal armor to go after and how to farm that armor and how to farm those mods, that's what we're talking about in this video. So firstly, let's take a look at the different seasonal mods. So, let's start out here with Season of the Outlaw, aka the Forsaken expansion. So firstly and famously, we have Taken Armaments. Defeating a Taken enemy with a grenade grants heavy ammo. This matters quite a bit because of the existence of Gambit. No matter which enemy type you're facing, the blockers are always going to be taken. So you can trigger this quite a bit, and as you can imagine, extra truth rockets matter a lot in swinging a game of Gambit. We also have Taken Barrier. Receiving Taken damage gives a 20% reduction in damage for 10 seconds. After that, there's Taken Invigoration. Defeating a challenging Taken enemy refreshes your class ability, and then we have Taken Repurposing. Destroying a Taken shield refreshes your grenade ability. So obviously, if you're fighting Taken, these are all absolutely excellent. Now, you get these mods from the Last Wish raid, and that is not easy. In fact, specifically, it's from the hidden chests on the Last Wish raid. So if you don't have any of these now, it is going to be a process to get them. However, there is two more to consider. There is going to be Riven's Bane and the Transcendent Blessing that actually don't come from the raid. They can come from the Dreaming City armor and Dreaming City activities, and those give damage bonuses while you're in the Dreaming City doing Dreaming City activities. Alright, moving one season forward, we have Season of the Forge. This mark is from it, and as you can see, it basically has the exact same mods as last time, but instead of Taken, they are Fallen. And obviously, Fallen armaments is not quite as good because of the Gambit situation, but still very good whenever you're fighting Fallen. These are also acquired just from the Scourge of the Past raid. In fact, the one hidden chest from Scourge of the Past, so it's quite the process to get these. But moving on from there, we have Season of the Drifter. Here we have the special like Gambit Prime set armor, and as you can see, they don't have any seasonal mod slot. They don't. In fact, the seasonal mods at the time were actually the boss, major, and minor resistance mods that have now been put into the general mod pool for all armor. So Season of the Outlaw isn't really worth grinding, and that matters quite a bit because next season, is this gonna get a seasonal mod slot? Because it doesn't have one right now. But really what this means is that it's probably worth it to get either armor from Season of the Outlaw or Forge because they can use each other's mods and you don't have to worry about Season of the Drifter. Moving on from there, however, we do have Season of Opulence. This is a huge one. So we do have, instead of Taken, Hive this time. So Hive armaments, Hive barrier, all of that stuff. And additionally, we have a ton of mods that were actually repurposed from OG Vanilla Destiny with the Leviathan mods, and these are going to be active and do some pretty substantial things, like for example, melee kills increase all damage by 20%. That's huge, but they're only active while you're on the Leviathan. However, if I'm remembering correctly, Menagerie and the Crown of Sorrow raid both count as being on the Leviathan, and if you ever go back and do that old content of the original Leviathan or the 2 raid layers, these mods are going to matter quite a bit as well. So Season of Opulence is really a season you want to have access to. And the best part is that unlike the armor we've looked at, you can get these mods, including like Hive armaments, from the Menagerie activity. You don't need to do the Crown of Sorrow raid specifically to get these. If you do, it certainly doesn't hurt, but the fact that you can get these from Menagerie means that for the average player or the solo player, this is again a season you really want to have access to in terms of your armor. However, moving on from there, we have Season of the Undying, which is the Shadowkeep expansion. Now, Season of the Undying, of course, is gone, but the Shadowkeep armor is still available and it shares the same mods as the Undying armor. So here we have all the mods that have to do with the Nightmare Hunt activities. So Nightmare Breaker and all of that stuff, and that is useful if you're specifically doing Nightmare Hunts. On the other side of the coin, we have all of the Garden of Salvation raid mods, stuff like Enhanced Relay Defender, which is incredibly useful and still part of like the best strategies for that raid. Those are accessible here too. So both of these things only apply to very specific activities, either Nightmare Hunts or the Garden of Salvation raid. However, both of those activities are still offering pinnacle gear, which does definitely matter, especially the Garden of Salvation raid. That is currently the newest raid. It has a ton of great loot, and again, every drop, if you're going through the first time that week, is going to be pinnacle. So it is one of the best ways to get pinnacle gear in. It is the best way to get pinnacle gear in the game. And considering that, I would say that having access to this season is pretty important as well. Now, to gain access to these mods, Nightmare Hunt mods drop from Nightmare Hunts, and the raid mods drop from the raid. The good news is that gaining access to Shadowkeep armor is incredibly easy. Just head to the moon and use the Lectern of Enchantment. You can specifically get essences that give you different armor pieces. So if you want specifically a helmet, you can get that essence, do it pretty easily, return it, and get a helmet. So super easy access to this armor. Maybe having a few is a good idea. And lastly, we have the current season, Season of Dawn, and the mods here are incredible. There are a bunch of extremely powerful builds that have to do with the charged with light mechanic, and you definitely want access to these mods going forward. Alright, so after taking a look at all of those different armor pieces from all those different seasons, there are clearly seasons that had more powerful mods than others. So, the armor you really do want to have access to if you have done the raids or are planning on doing the raids of Last Wish and Scourge of the Past, and you have taken or fallen armaments or those things, having access to one of those two, because they'll cover each other, is very important. So I would recommend go to the Dreaming City and simply pick up stuff like the Ascendant Challenge bounty. You can also get access to these armor pieces for just doing like a rotating daily mission, doing the 8 daily bounties. Pretty easy stuff, and as you can see, when I did the Ascendant Challenge, you get 2 loot drops. And these loot drops of the Reverie Dawn set, they come with the mod to increase damage within the Dreaming City. You can also do, if you are, not willing to do a raid, the Shattered Throne Dungeon is going to be a great source for armor here as well. If you do want to do the forges, however, simply buy this specific item from 801 and then start farming forges. Moving on from there, however, Season of the Drifter is trash, and Season of Opulence you do want access to. So I would actually not recommend grinding armor from Opulence, because the backwards compatible one is Season of the Drifter, which gives you nothing. It's much better to get armor from Shadowkeep. That will cover Opulence and also cover Season of Dawn. So definitely do some lectern stuff, get some armor there. The Pit of Heresy Dungeon is also a great place to grind armor as well, and actually with the Pit of Heresy Dungeon, if you do the first time each week, the final pinnacle reward is going to be a fully masterworked piece of armor for each of your characters. So that is definitely something you should really consider getting done before the start of the next season, because that means you can just level up all your obelisks, get all of the different Season of Dawn mods, and then have all this already masterworked armor from the Pit of Heresy Dungeon. Starting next season, you can put together your dream Season of Dawn builds with your crazy infinite ammo shotgun builds and all that stuff for basically no resources. You don't have to level up any of your Season of Dawn gear, so keep that in mind. Moving on from there, the next thing I would really recommend grinding is the Season of Dawn armor. Thankfully, this is being spit out from absolutely every activity right now. Leveling up your obelisks is going to give you a ton of armor. Doing the Sundial, a ton of armor. The Seasons Pass, armor is flying everywhere. But the important part is that next season is going to access the new season, which is going to matter a lot, and it's going to touch Season of the Undying, which of course matters if you plan on doing the raids or nightmare hunts, and it has the current season, obviously, which, as we've explained, is very good. So, if there's a takeaway from this, I would highly recommend going and making sure you have farmed armor from either Season of the Outlaw or Season of the Forge. Then make sure you do have some Shadowkeep armor that can equip Opulence and Season of Dawn, and then really stock up on that Season of Dawn armor, because it can access next season's mods. And so guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.